Suzanne of the Misfits, and for this blog post, I wanted to invite my coach, Jim Laird, to help show us some ways to stay fit when we're busy, can't make it to the gym, or maybe you're traveling.
Great, thank you so much for having me. This is really cool because this is completely unplanned, so it's going to be natural and fun. One of the misconceptions that people have is that every workout needs to be with a barbell and it needs to be really hard. The best thing about, I know Suzanne travels a lot, and one of the reasons she's been so successful is because her workouts away from the gym enable her to get better, so when she comes back and lift, it's kind of like a low threshold exercise. So we're not looking to crush somebody with this stuff, but it's kind of like the maintenance stuff that she needs to do to keep lifting and be healthy. So what I'm going to do is show you a few things that Suzanne needs to work on that are pretty much common for just about all women. And what we're going to do is start off with just a simple glute bridge, and we're going to actually use this roller. You don't have to use a roller, so Suzanne's just going to lay on the floor, and she's just going to squeeze the roller between her legs. This really helps kind of activate the glutes. You make sure that her ribs are down and that this all comes up as a unit. The biggest problem I see with most women is they don't know how to stabilize their middle. So she's going to do this about 10 to 12 times. I would have her do, she's going to do a little circuit here. We won't go 3 times through, but generally speaking, we would do this. Maybe the second set, she could grab one leg and pull the knee to her chest and do a single leg glute bridge. And you notice how she's thrusting a little too much. She needs to own it and really squeeze. And you'd be surprised how hard this is for most people. Go ahead and do the other side. If you actually slow down and almost think like a bodybuilder, like squeeze your bats kind of thing. So just like that. Okay, so that would be like an option for round 2. Now what we're going to do next, we're going to give you a couple options, but one of the biggest problems that most women have is they don't know how to use like pelvic floor and diaphragm. In a 10,000 foot nutshell, you've got prime movers, you've got bones, you've got ligaments, and joints, and that's kind of how you can either get your stability from prime movers or from stabilizers. You want them both working together, and unfortunately, most people load themselves up way too fast, and they start using their low back, especially women. They start using their joints more for their stability than their diaphragm, their core, and all their musculature working together. So we have to get some of these low threshold exercises to get this pelvic floor, to get this diaphragm activated, so when we brace, we actually use everything together instead of just using the spine or prime movers, like big back muscles and stuff. So one option is pull the knee, okay? She's going to hold this leg straight up in the air. She's going to point this toe back towards herself. She's going to keep her low back pressed to the floor, and she's going to lower this down on like a 2 count, like almost all the way to the floor. And she's really going to focus on activating that core, okay, keeping the ribs down. And she's going to do about 8 to 10, okay? Now, level 2 of that would be feet straight in the air, okay? Most people have a really hard time. You want to flex those quads, pull that back. Ideally, you could use a belt or a band to hold this leg here, okay? She's going to hold it, and then she's going to go like 2 seconds down, under control, and then 2 seconds back up. And you can see that working there. And she's really going to work on activating that. Suzanne's a really good athlete, so she compensates. Like, she is a master compensator. She's able to work through things, so we have to kind of like break her down and make her learn how to use her pelvic floor so that she doesn't end up getting hurt. And this will actually make her more efficient and a better lifter. She's going to get 8 to 10 on that. So the next thing we're going to do is like we call it like a dynamic Blackburn. And I got this from Mike Robertson and from James Smith. So go ahead and lay over on your belly. Okay. She's going to put her hands up behind her butt. Okay. And basically what she's going to do is she's going to pull those shoulder blades together. Okay, squeeze, stretch that chest. Make sure she don't arch up like a yoga move. And then she's going to come around front with her hands up, thumbs up front, go around front, up, just like that, and then back around. Okay, and then she's going to put the hands there. She's going to let her shoulder blades go. She's going to bring her scapula together, stretch the chest, and then she's going to come up around about 8 to 10 times. Now what I would do is that would be like part of her warm-up, and she would run through this whole circuit, like glute bridge, single leg raise, Blackburn, and she'd do that like 3 times, okay? So that would be like the first part of her workout. And these are all things Suzanne needs to work on. She really needs to keep working on her core stability because, you know, she's able to compensate so well. Now, what we're going to do here is 2 things that are going to basically take care of all our mobility and flexibility issues. Suzanne is just going to lay this way, facing the camera, flat. And we're going to do what's called Bretzel 1. Go ahead and turn on your side. And we got this from Gray Cook, a really smart physical therapist. So she's just, the key on this is making sure ribs are down and she's here. You can use a pillow for this. You can use anything you want, like a suitcase, something. She's going to take this knee. She's going to bring it here, okay? She's going to take that top arm, and she's going to put it on that leg. Now, the big mistake people make on this is they flare their rib cage. So we're going to get this so she can relax. She's already got her ribs up, so she's got to get this down and brace this, okay? Gently, not hard or anything, but she needs to get this position so we actually open up and mobilize through the thoracic. Now she's going to pull her leg back and stretch that quad. Most women's quads are really tight. The ribs are down. She's going to take a breath, and she's going to blow out. And the breath is going to allow her to relax, and she's going to open that up the best she can. Relax the neck, and that's where she's at, okay? She's got her quad stretch. She's neutral, and then she's opening up through that thoracic. She's going to do about 10 breaths on that side. I'm actually going to line this up a little better so she's not compensating. There we go. And then she can just take this head wherever she feels best. And she's going to do about 10 breaths. Okay? And then she would repeat on the other side. So it's top leg up. And then as she breathes in through the belly, out through the mouth with her nose, through her nose, she can pull that top leg up a little bit and just work on that. Okay? So of course she's going to flip sides. All right? After she's done that, I would do that maybe twice through. Okay? She's going to go into what we call Bretzel 2. We're not going to obviously do both sides. So go ahead, and this is Bretzel 2. Sit up with your feet pointing straight ahead. Okay? Now, most women do okay with this, but the problem is most women try and rotate too much through their spine. Okay? Because they're used to like doing yoga where they're like, I'm just going to do, no matter what the cost, I'm going to rotate. So Suzanne struggles with this because she is so strong. Okay? She's going to put one leg back like a hurdler stretch. Okay? And the best way to do this is to think of this leg being in line with a wall. Okay? And then she's going to bring this foot in. Okay? Not pull it back. She wants it square. She's going to try and push that knee flat down. Now, she's just going to reach back comfortably, and that's where she gets stuck, right there. Okay? She wants to try and put this flat on the ground. And for her, some women, go there. Some women can turn all the way, but we don't want to force it. For her, that's a good spot. She's getting a nice stretch, aren't you, in that back leg? So that's as far as she's got comfortably. We don't want to force it. We don't want to get too much motion through the spine. And what she's going to do is she's going to breathe there, and then she can reach across and grab that arm. For her, this is where she's at. Now, most women are going to be able to rotate a little further than that and get both hands down on the floor. Somebody that can get both hands down will go knuckles down and then slide their arm. And if they're really good at that, you can look up Bretzel 3 on YouTube. But this is where Suzanne is. So she's going to do that for about 10 breaths, and then we'll just switch to the other side because this one's a little more confusing. It's a little quicker. So she goes opposite stretch. And the thing with this, both of these Bretzels, is you want to see how she's having a little harder time on this side. With both of these Bretzels, too far. There, that's all we got. With both of these Bretzels, you can see she's getting a nice stretch through there. Everyone's going to be a little different. It's going to stretch in different places, but the biggest thing you're looking for is symmetry. You want to have both sides to be fairly similar, and she's pretty equal. Okay? We're going to work on that. But this kind of hits everything. Okay? And she's just going to breathe, hang out. Good, awesome. Now, for the actual workout part, quote unquote, now this is really simple. You'll see a lot of these workouts online with people jumping and doing all sorts of jumping lunges and stuff. I'll be honest, most of the people I see, and probably including you, are not prepared for stuff like that yet. So we're going to make sure we give you something here that's like everybody can do, and then you can adjust it from there. So we're just going to do, everybody's got a wall. We're going to do a simple wall sit, okay? And she's going to slide down the wall. Now, we want to make sure we got vertical tibia. We want to make sure her feet out are a little more. So we want that tibia straight up and down so there's not too much pressure on the knees. We can adjust foot position. We can go fairly narrow like that. We can go super wide. Go ahead and wind it up a little bit. We can point toes out a little more, open the hips up. It's a little too much. We want nice ankle, knee, hip alignment. So we can change stances, but and then we want ribs down and shoulders back. So right, just like that. Now, you might be thinking, oh, this is really simple. Trust me, if you haven't done a wall sit in a while, go ahead and try and do this for a minute sometime. And then If you want to make it harder, you can add like a kettlebell, or what we can do is go ahead and narrow your stance up all the way together. Okay, now come up just a shade. Okay, even when you're on the wall, feet up wider, a little wider. Okay, things are apart. Now, what we can do to make it even harder right here is something simple. Go ahead and lift your right leg barely off the ground. Okay, and you see that? It's just that little lift. How much harder is that?
A lot harder.
Okay, and then switch. So right now we're not like affecting, it's not real like, it doesn't look like it's anything, but it's really challenging her. She's shaking a little bit. And then switch. So don't feel like you have to do anything astronomical to make things more difficult. Just that half an inch lift off the floor is making it really hard. Okay, do a couple of those. Okay, and then go ahead and switch to a little wider stance. Right there is good. Hang out. Cool. And we'll let you hang out here for a little bit more. So you can do that for like a minute. You can play around with different foot positions. You can raise one foot up. I mean, I obviously would recommend not raising a foot in a wide stance. You can also grab a kettlebell. Are you ready to rest?
I'm ready.
Okay. So now go ahead and face sideways for me. What I really like these, it's called slow motion mountain climber. And once again, we're going to do these things in our workout, quote unquote, that are going to help increase her core stability, which is going to make her a better lifter. So the biggest thing is making sure her hands are under her chest. Okay. And she's long. She's nice and neutral. That's pretty good for her. We want rib cage towards belly button towards rib cage, head, back, butt, perfect. Now she's going to bring one leg up nice and slow. I want it back just a little bit, and she's going to hang out right there, and then she's going to switch. Okay? And this is forcing her to keep her trunk stable and still, which is what most women struggle with. Okay? And we're going to make sure she's not collapsing. We're going to make sure that core and that pelvis is in the right spot. Belly button is pulled towards rib cage, and that's pretty good. Okay, we're going to make sure there's no major shifting. And she's going to do about 10 on each side. Okay, and if you slow this down, like you could blast through this like a typical mountain climber, but most people slow this down and turn this into a core stability exercise. This is really, really hard. Okay, how hard is that?
Hard.
Okay, good. So those two things, you can have them do that like 3 or 4 times each. It's not going to beat them up. It doesn't put them in a position that's like terrible. If you have somebody that's newer, they can just hold a regular push-up position or a plank. It just helps build weakness instead of reinforcing dysfunction. Okay, so that would be simple. You could do your little warm-up a couple times through the Bretzel and the Bretzel 2, and then a couple sets of wall sit. And it takes about 20 minutes. You're done. You can do it anywhere, and it's a great way to build core stability, so when you come back to your hard training, you're ready to rock and roll.
Thanks, Jim. As everyone knows, I love to train hard, but this is really what's making me better.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.